Hmm? Okay, we're still waiting for Misba to finish, so let's wait for her to finish. And done. Okay. So, thoughts. What do you think? Did you cry? Did you cry? Did you
It
hmm?
was a story
Uh-huh.
to be told. It's nice to know what's happening.
Yeah. Yes. Felt sorry. Yes. Definitely. Poor guy, right? But he's so big. No, 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 Marinal. It's I remember the first time it made such a huge impact because I mean you really you like you live your life without thinking about these sort of things, you know, uh, and then you hear this story of a man and it gets you thinking in a completely different direction. Yeah. Yes, he was in a tremendous amount of pain, tremendous amount of pain. Okay, and okay, I don't want to say anything myself. I want you guys to tell me your thoughts. The fact that he was in pain, okay, fine. He was in pain. Uh, he became successful. He did something with his life. Um, he he still has a very interesting life, and he made something out of it all, out of the pain. He made the pain worth something. Okay, just a second, guys. Just 1 second, okay? Okay, sorry, guys. My son is having some opinions. Okay, so yeah, he made the pain matter. He did something, you know, he made something with his life. Uh and definitely he's an extraordinary man, but what do you think? What do yes, these are all the things about this guy, but what else is there in the story?
Hi, Doctor.
Yes, Mohammed. Yes.
How are you?
Good, thank you.
Yeah, it was a it was very sad. The
Uh-huh.
whole story. I feel for him, but I don't necessarily agree um, about euthanasia. I don't think I, yeah, I don't agree with it.
You don't agree with it.
Yeah,
Fine, fine.
and his
Um,
life afterwards is proof, if anything, of why you shouldn't really opt for something like that. Because if
mhm.
he was to come back from such a tragedy and respond how he has, and make such a difference, it just goes to show you never lose hope.
Okay. Did this mention, guys, his suicide attempts? The movie was supposed to mention that he tried to commit suicide.
Yeah.
Yeah, it did mention that, yeah.
Okay. And did it mention that today, even after all of these things that have happened, you know, he got out of it alive, successful, fulfilled. His life has meaning. He still wishes they killed him. Was this mentioned in the movie?
Yes, it did in the video, yeah.
Okay. Okay, so we're clear on that this guy
Yeah.
went through tremendous amount of pain, you know, was crippled for his entire life, but he stood up, he worked for a greater good. He worked for something that would be meaningful, and he made his life very worthwhile and meaningful, not just for himself but for many, many people. And still, you know, still, even though he had such a successful path, he still wishes that there was a possibility for him to die. Yeah, he's saying that even today he's saying that um, no one should experience and no one should be allowed to go through so much pain as he went through so much torture and so much suffering. So all of that success and meaning uh, kind of did not let him how can I say this, even though he achieved all this success, he still wishes that somebody would kill him. Okay, so he still wishes that there was death. He still thinks that he should not have suffered how the way he suffered.
I mean, he went through trauma. It's very dramatic, so.
Yes, and
I mean,
So to light up the conversation, I would say I would have gave him a gun.
mhm.
I mean, how can you forget something like that or even accept it?
No, you can't. That's the thing that I'm saying that the whole irony of this story is that he experienced this whole uh, traumatic chapter in his life. And he got out of it with a very successful and meaningful life, but still he regrets being in that position, and he still wishes that either there was a possibility for him to die in the hospital, or somebody would have let him commit suicide. So he still wishes that somebody would have let him die. Okay, so he doesn't care about all of this. Obviously he does care about, you know, because he does a lot of good for people, but he still chooses death over this kind of life. That's the whole irony of the situation. And I want to hear your thoughts about this, because it's a very strong, in my opinion, it's an extremely strong case. Yeah. Uh, for me anyway, I found it to be extremely powerful.
I think he perhaps healed physically.
Mm-hmm.
However, I think there was also emotional stress.
Oh,
Um,
not probably. There was
yeah,
definitely emotional
definitely.
stress. Mm-hmm.
He saw his father die in front of him, and
Mm-hmm.
um, of course, he lives with that for the rest of well, he lived with that for the rest of his life.
And not just that, I mean, he came from Vietnam War. Let's not forget about all the
Yeah,
emotional trauma that comes from the war. You know, for,
yeah,
soldiers have to carry throughout their entire life. You know, and on top of that, that trauma, you know, his dreams. He wanted to start a new chapter of his life with his dad. You know, fulfill his dream, and bam, you know, this huge strategy. It's like a war, you know, explosion, death, all over again, burns. So yeah, the guy was very traumatized. Obviously, there were professionals who worked with him, but then you know, um, it's like torture, really. You know, torture victims. I mean, think about torture victims, people who are tortured over continuous that I don't know. I mean, you're not supposed to know about this, but people who are being tortured on a uh, over a period of of uh, of time on a continuous basis, yeah, um, they sort of like give up. Yeah, they become like um like a guinea pig in a cage. Yeah, they lose their sense of they forget that they become extremely helpless. Okay, they
yeah,
forget that they can resist. They forget that they're resilient. Completely, there's studies on this, okay? Actual empirical studies have been done. And it takes a great amount of inner resource. So, like, you have to have certain qualities in order to resist this and remain a human and get out of this with let's say some kind of integrity, okay, like this guy did. So obviously this guy possessed some kind of some special traits of a character that enabled him to get out of this thing, and continue with the life that he did, you know, because he didn't just lead an ordinary life, he made something out of it. So what I'm trying to say is that it wasn't just the pain. You can compare it to torture. You know, he was being tortured. In my opinion, yes, he was definitely being tortured because there were no painkillers that could ease his pain. That didn't exist. The pain was so
Isn't
strong.
torture can be like the meaning of torture to receive pain without consent?
Yes, that's why I am comparing it.
Yeah,
Yes,
so
but
he
isn't
100% was tortured because
he
he
was
didn't want to
100
continue the.
exactly, so that you can definitely, you know, not compare it is torture, yeah.
Doctor.
For it to be torture, it doesn't necessarily have to be a hostile environment, yeah. It's receiving pain without, thank you Adam for pointing that out. um yes, Michaela, yeah, he felt like his choice wasn't being respected. Yes, his choice was not being respected. He was not being listened to, and and they continued to torture him because nobody wanted to listen to this guy. And even when he was granted the permission, he couldn't find anyone in court who would help him go through this. because you needed like some sort of legal representative, you know. So yeah, crazy. Talk about uh, you know, normalcy. It's absolutely crazy. But now, in a lot of countries, it's legal, you know, to die. If you want to die, you can basically. But you need to have like medical reasons for it. You can't just you decide to die. Oh, I want to die, but I don't want to commit suicide. Let me just go to a competent clinic and then they will give me a shot. No, you can't do it like that. You need to have a legitimate reason for it. Yeah. Definitely, there was a lack of awareness of mental health. I completely agree with you, Mohammed. Um, there was a lack of awareness with a lot of things, but um, how would awareness of mental health help in this case? You know, if they were aware, let's say, of
I
more
mean,
aware than.
if
Okay, elaborate on that.
if um, if there were studies at that
Mm-hmm.
time to assist with mental health, and just really how we tackle it today, if we were able to
Mm-hmm.
do that back in the 1970s, then perhaps there would be additional support for DAX. And like we have today, we have psychiatrists, we have the databases for diagnosing social and behavioral disorders.
Okay,
I'm
yes,
not
it's
saying he
not.
has
It's a
disorders.
manual.
Yeah, yeah,
DSM-5.
exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And things like this, support groups, which we didn't have. Even today, especially for men, mental health is not really spoken about. Going back 50 years, we probably didn't even care about
Mm-hmm.
mental health. But I think definitely being able to voice your opinions and how you feel is one way to help yourself when it comes to mental health. And for you to bottle it up, it can then have an extreme how it manifests itself once you finally let it out.
Okay.
It can be very
Okay. So you think that it was the mental health in his case? It was the
I
mental
can't.
health problem that for him to for his wish of wanting to die.
Well,
Is that what you're saying?
I can't. I can't say that for certain, but logically, I think at the time when he asked for a gun to end his life, when the incident happened, I
Mm-hmm.
think at that time, in the heat of the moment, I know it sounds very cliche, and I'm sort of downplaying it, but that's the only sort of words I can find for it. But in the heat of the moment, anybody I think would ask for that
Yes.
severe
Okay.
pain to go away.
With on that, I definitely agree with you. Okay. When he got out of the hospital, when this whole torture was like all over, the suicide attempts had everything to do with mental health.
Yes,
Okay. I'm not talking about suicide attempts. I'm talking about the time at the hospital when he wanted to die, when he wanted to stop with the treatment, he wanted to die. Um, what was the problems there? I
I
mean,
mean,
was
I
it the
think,
mental health again?
well, it's more his. I think at that point it's more his emotional state, and I think that emotional state then leads to mental health issues
Mm-hmm.
because he's gone through this traumatic
Mm-hmm.
experience. He's in a lot of physical pain, and
Okay.
that would affect his emotional state to for him to make these um, or to request for these things. That's where what I think anyway.
Okay. Okay, fair enough. Okay.
Just a
Just
question.
a sec, Adam,
Yeah.
1 second, because we have people here, like Michaela and Philip have comments, so I'm just gonna read them out. I think the laws in regards to patient decision isn't the same as it is today. Patients are able to refuse treatment. The doctors have to respect that. If they don't, they would most likely be sued or lost. Yes, today it has definitely changed, Michaela. There are regulations on that, but then again, it's for example, I can speak about United States. It's a different. It's very different from state to state, and in Europe, it's also different from country to country. Okay, so it's not the same everywhere. There is no like a set, unified set of rules how you're supposed to behave when you have a struggling patient. Yeah. Okay. You also have to Philip's comment. You also have to look at the perspective of the doctors who worked on him during that era. If the doctor had agreed to let the patient keep, the doctors may have lost their jobs for not upholding the. Okay, definitely. Thank you, Philip, for giving us a different. Excellent. Okay, I have great. Somebody looking at it from a different perspective. Great.
Katie,
Yes, Miss Bob.
I
you.
want to mention that
Uh-huh.
this individual was suffering, and the doctors are supposed to do no harm. So
Yes.
he was, from their perspective, they were treating him, but they were harming him at the same time,
Yes.
and that treatment was giving him pain.
Uh-huh.
You know, which in effect isn't helping him.
So, what is what's at stake here? Like, look, that's why I love this case so much, because what are we doing here? I mean, do we just is our aim to save a life at no cost? Like, we just blindly follow save a life principle without considering um, the consequences of saving this life?
No, we shouldn't, but that's what the doctors do.
Yes, before, yes, but now it has changed a lot. Okay, now there's a code of ethics, there's a board of ethics, there's a bunch of different protocols in medical field. It's really not that easy anymore. If a
Just one
patient.
question I might have missed
Yes,
in the
please,
video.
Adam.
Uh, was the treatment paid or was it for free?
Nobody's saying that. We don't know.
Because I'm pretty sure if in America it's always been there. If you don't have the funding, you won't get treated. So the doctors probably were doing it for the experience and for the press. And there's a lot of darker tones I can think about, but like you understand what I'm saying.
Definitely, yes, definitely. I completely agree with you. And I can
Because
tell you,
if a
yeah,
cancer patient didn't want to take chemo, they wouldn't give it to him. They can only give it to him if he have consent, and chemo is considered torture. That's why. So they did it not with his consent, and probably somebody paid for it, which is his mother, because she wanted him to go back to his religion as a
well,
Christian, which equals like a big loop of just even darker and more depressing story.
oh, Adam, oh my God. Yes, you're looking at it from that perspective. And yes, we can find some logic in that too. For example, but I would imagine that at that time, him being a veteran of a Vietnam War, he would have had some kind of insurance, okay, medical insurance, definitely, I think. So I don't think that the treatment would have been totally experimental, but that is not to say that I do not allow for some kind of enthusiasm coming from doctors' side, because definitely he was not an ordinary patient. He was definitely one of a kind experience. And, you know, every doctor who is in love with his profession dreams of something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's clear to see because they were filming it. No one was filming
Yes,
a surgery.
yes, because you know he's not this was not an ordinary case, okay? This was not a pregnancy, this was not a hand broken. This was a guy who was supposed to die and he did not. Okay?
Can I add a few
Uh
comments?
yes, please. The more the better.
Yeah, so my opinion, well, I don't agree with euthanasia. On
Mhm.
this particular case, I believe, like, the human body has limitations. If you pass them limitations, like, there's a reason why death exists. I feel like
Mhm.
this person, he was a special case, and
Mhm.
he had the ability to survive. I feel like the pain that he experienced, if it was so significant, he wouldn't be alive today. So I feel like it was a pain
Ah.
which I feel like it could have been controlled, and I feel like saving his life was the main thing. Nothing else matters, to be honest with you. Like, life is so sacred. I feel like even taking away someone's life, it's just disgusting, because you never know what look what he went on to go and achieve. If someone did this to him, he wouldn't have been able to go forward or ahead to go do these things. So I feel like to take away someone's life.
Okay, okay, fine, Bilal. I get your point, but I just mentioned before that studies have shown people. I always compare this to torture because it is torture. Um, People who have been tortured on a regular basis, like not 1 day or 2 days, but on a regular basis. There have been a lot of guys. We have a lot of our medical and mental health advances from studies that have been performed in concentration camps. Okay, a lot of the things that we know today about the human body, how it functions, about medicine, about mental health, is from the studies that have been done in concentration camps. Okay, so in
Yeah, but
concentration camps they had no limits. Yeah.
Yeah, but the thing is that I believe like life is about hardship. People experience it in different ways. Even if someone has like a little argument, and they might believe it's just as big as a hardship as what this young man was going through.
Okay, Bilal, let me stop you there for 1 second. I completely understand what you're saying, but I want you to listen to me for 1 second. Like, listen to what I'm saying. I'm not trying to, I'm just trying to, I'm asking you to look at it from a tiny little bit of a different perspective, okay? Not just people with hardships and people, because you said there for 1 second that if he went through, if he was able to survive this pain, then the pain was survivable, okay? Fine. Um, and if he was able to do the things that nobody else who you said something like nobody would have been able to continue, like he continued on, so the experience was not that bad, probably. Yeah, is that what you meant?
I mean, like, his experience was bad, but I feel like everyone has a different journey in life. Everyone goes through hardships.
Hmm.
Some people go through a lot tougher ones, and some people
Okay.
can endure those lot tougher ones. But the people that have like hardships that we don't perceive as very tough, they might find it very
Hmm.
difficult. Every individual has a different journey in life, and hardships is definitely part of it.
I mean, can I add something also to
Yes,
that?
please.
Like, I just want to say, like, there's people I know of, like, friends, family members, they're born with some of these, like, some of these problems that Dax suffered. Like, I know people that were blind. I know people that, have one arm.
Hmm.
I know people that are unable to walk. you know, they were born with these disabilities, and there's
Okay.
people around the world, millions of people around the world that don't know where their next meal's coming from. They're starving, suffering every single day. You know, they're going through pains every single day. Yes. So like, if you, that could also be classed as torture as well, in the same way. But in that same point, I don't believe that um, for that reason that people should, you know, euthanasia is correct and it should be allowed upon people. No, people go through trials and tribulations every single day. Everyone goes through different ones, as Bilal was saying, but it's how we deal with them, how we come back from them, and you know, that's the beauty of life.
That's my point. Okay, what personal traits you have, like what are your strengths as a person? That's what matters. That's what makes you, you are either resilient to these hardships, and you're able to, once they end, you're able to stand up and continue, or you become helpless. Okay.
You know, I just wanted to say as well that,
Yes.
yeah, I agree with these guys, but kind of disagree because I think that
Mhm.
it should be banned in most cases, but there are cases where, you know, death is inevitable, so the patient is going to die. So why would you put that patient through more pain when, you know, you can't avoid that death? So there's certain situations like that where I think, yeah, it should be allowed because they are gonna die, you know. So we should allow them to have a peaceful death because, you know, it's their free will. So I think they should, you know, decide whether what they want to do with their life.
But just adding to that also, but death is inevitable, but nobody knows when death is going to come. That's a fact. Nobody knows. Everyone knows their date of birth, but not one single person knows their date of death. People I know, I know cancer survivors that they were given a week to live, but they've lived on years. Nobody, not even a doctor, can tell you when you are going to die, what time you're going to die, when, you know. So death is inevitable, but nobody knows when death is going to come to them, and that's the truth.
Yeah, I agree, and even with terminal cases, when doctors do give a time span on someone's illness, I just looked up a study now that was done in 2005, and it said that these diagnoses, they're only accurate 20% of the time. So that's 1 in 5 cases when somebody's given a terminal illness and they say you're going to die, for example, in 6 months. That's not the case. 4 times out of those 5, the person goes on and survives. And if euthanasia was so widely accepted, and if it was accessible, then you wouldn't have 4 out of 5 cases surviving. It would probably be more cases resulting in death, not from the actual illness.
I
Okay.
just, I
Yes,
just believe,
please.
yeah, I just believe that, you know, everyone has their own limitations. It's obvious in life, like you can't jump off a 40-foot building and expect to be standing on 2 feet. There's limitations in this world. And if someone cannot accept or the body can't burden them limitations, then that's the reason why people pass away from certain things. So I think it's, for me, it's just unacceptable. You don't know what the future has for one person. No one can tell. You know, if death is written for that person, then it will come for them because that's the only thing guaranteed in life. Everyone will, you know, suffer death, and it will happen to us. That it could happen any second or within
Okay,
200 years.
Bilal, for 1 second, I want you to, that is your perspective. That is what you think. That is what you believe. Okay. But for 1 second, I want you to think about a person of another faith. Okay. Like, for example, Philip did. Okay. He gave us, and Adam did. He looked at it from a different perspective. Try to see it in a different perspective. Okay. Try to see it.
I'll tell you
If
why it's
you,
hard for me, Katie, because you know
yes,
what,
please.
my religion tells me that, and this is what gives me a lot of confidence in life. Like whatever I go through, it says Allah tells us that, you know, He will not give us a hardship that we cannot burden. You know what I mean? That we cannot take on in life. And that's what I believe in fully. And you know, everyone, like I have like little hardships that I go through, and I might think they're massive in my life, but there's
I
kids in Africa.
definitely agree.
Yeah.
Yes, I
And
agree with you completely. And I am not asking you to change what you think. This is not what I'm asking you to do. I am just asking you to try and see it from a different perspective. Okay?
yeah, I understand, but I feel like, you know, it's a waste of life. Like, you know, you don't ever know what someone can achieve. Like there's a heavyweight boxer from the UK. He's called Tyson Fury. He nearly killed himself. And now he's come back and he's become world heavyweight champion of the world. Imagine if you
Fine.
took away his life. You
Yes,
know,
but
no
that
one would
was
have been able
not.
to see.
I don't think that people should go and kill themselves randomly just because they broke up with their boyfriend. No, I don't think that is the case.
But
But
he
we're
suffered
talking.
from mental health illnesses as well. Like, you
Okay,
know,
mental health illness is something else completely. Okay, mental health illness is something entirely different. Because that's bad. Okay, you can do many crazy things when you are depressed. Yeah, and you need to take care of that. But I'm talking about this guy in particular. He was in agony. He was in pain. He did not want to live in pain. He did not. Okay? He
but
wanted to end.
he said that he felt pain, but it was a different kind of pain. He couldn't explain it. And for that reason,
Obviously.
that's why he wanted to take his. That's why I'm saying people experience pain in different ways. That's the point I'm trying to come to. For some people, it's different.
Okay. Uh-huh. Okay.
Like
Okay. Okay.
if say for instance that person went through what Dax went through, maybe he wanted to kill himself straight away. He couldn't. But there's a reason why he's been given that difficulty, and there's a reason why Tyson Fury's had that difficulty as well.
Uh-huh.
That's why I
And
believe
what's
that
the
it's
difference between
specialized.
those two? Okay, so how am I justifying right now? Because I am obviously justifying Dax's a wish to die, and I am not justifying this heavy lifters. Why am I doing this? Who can tell me?
Could I ask Bilal something if that's okay?
Yes, please.
Uh, Bilal, would you like, obviously we're from the same religion or whatnot, and I was just wondering, like, would you say that euthanasia should be banned completely or exempt for like certain situations? Because I think what Keti's trying to do, like, open your perspective in the sense that I'll give you an example. Like, if like a child was horse riding or whatnot, if an adult was horse riding and obviously they had an accident and it caused them to be paralyzed because obviously with the injury in the spine and they can't move or talk or whatnot, and obviously maybe they can't continue with their life because they're completely paralyzed, you know, would you allow that person to, you know, do euthanasia or, you know, say no, you shouldn't be allowed? Because with like, in my opinion, if someone's paralyzed, you know, they don't have much life left, you know, if they can't talk, or even like brain dead patients, for example, you know, should we keep them alive? You know, they're incompetent, like, you know, maybe their wishes was to, uh, you know, die if they was brain dead. Maybe that's their wishes, you know. Should we go against their wishes to say that, you know, we shouldn't kill them, but they're brain dead? So, you know,
Mm-hmm.
you're just trying to open your perspective. And I was just wondering, like, would you allow euthanasia in these cases, or would you still disagree with it?
Well, do you know, Ibrahim, just on your point there about someone being permanently paralyzed. Well, there's people that are born this way. You know what I mean? I know people that are born this way, and I wouldn't, and they're living such a happy life as well. Why? Because you know they're they are grateful just to be alive. You know,
No,
people are
no, I
they're
get what you're
grateful with their
saying.
life. There's people that are born in certain ways. You know what I mean? There's people that are
Yeah,
born blind. and
I
why
know
they're so
what you're
happy, they're
saying,
so
bro,
proud
but
to be blind as well, because that's the
but
way
like,
they've been
if their
created.
mental health was that bad that they couldn't, obviously, there's people
No, yeah, on your
that, you know,
point, Ibrahim, like
yeah,
similar to what Rayan said, like, you know, if someone, even if someone is paralyzed, or if someone is saying, like, you know,
yeah.
I just don't think it's right. You can't, you do not know if that person will wake up or if you'll ever get better. You know what I
No,
mean?
no, I get
No
what
one
you're
can,
saying,
you
but
know, say
say
that.
for patients
You
who's
always have to
brain
have
dead,
hope. That's the
you
concept
know,
behind these religions, such as Islam. Always
yeah,
have hope. You
yeah,
know, you never
yeah,
ever give up, because if you do,
Let
then
me just to put the conversation back straight. Look, listen.
yeah,
As a Muslim too, I understand what we're
yeah,
trying to say, but we agree that your death is like decided before you know it, right? So if he decided to take the treatment or not, he's gonna die the same time, the same way, right?
no. But look, if how do you know that that person would have died at the same time? Because nobody knows.
We don't know. We don't know.
That's what I'm
That's why we're
saying.
speculating. What
That's
I'm
the whole
trying to
part
tell you,
behind it.
I can tell you from personal experience. My grandmother has Alzheimer's, and we slowly saw her progression from knowing herself to not knowing anything. When in the mid of that progression, she started like to deny life and trying to just like finish everything. And now she's a burden to nobody but my family and my mother. Now, of course, we won't do anything to her, but she wanted to end everything. But you understand what I'm saying. In the end, if when I go faith wise and what we believe in, death is not decided by us. No matter what route you choose, you're gonna die both ways at the same time. So if he
Yeah,
took the treatment or not, he's gonna die.
but what's the difference
Then now
from?
his decision to take the treatment of not. Now there's something else. He's not Muslim. He's Christian, so his way of thinking is way different than us.
Yeah, but guys, if
And
we
people sometimes some people can handle a lot of pressure, but
if we put religion aside,
he's not even Christian.
and,
He's
because I think
yeah,
that's
that's what the
important.
doctor's trying to
But
do it.
from a humanitarian point of view, I would still argue the same, because if I can ask everyone a question, okay, if let's say euthanasia is the best option, who do we make, who do we ask to euthanize the person? And is that not unfair for me to ask a doctor to take somebody's life? A doctor,
Yeah, also that, like, even if someone is a burden on the family, and say if that person has no ability to talk, or for instance he's brain dead, you know what I mean, he can't make a decision himself, and someone shouldn't make a decision on behalf of that person as well.
No, no, like, I agree with what you guys are saying, but like, I'm like asking you, like, from their opinion, you know, before they were brain dead, like, say, obviously, I agree with you guys. I'm just trying to open that perspective, but I'm trying to say, like, say if they wasn't religious, you know, say if they're atheists or whatnot, and their wish before they was brain dead, you know, it was their wish when they was fully competent, you know, they want they did want to die when they was brain dead, you know, would you go against this? Because it's from their wish when they were fully competent, and they're like atheists, you know. Like, who are we to tell them what to do if it's their wishes? Like, it's like a, yeah, it's
But
like,
who are we to take
yeah,
life as well?
yeah.
You know, what gives us that responsibility? You know, you could,
I don't think nobody will take the life. They would just stop the treatment and see what will happen after that.
but
and
that is, you have the ability to help someone, but you're not doing that, you
but
know.
that's
But
fine.
you're not taking a life.
If somebody refuses to take treatment, that's their choice, and that with the Hippocratic oath, which has been around since the time of Hippocrates, you cannot administer that patient any treatment. That's what that oath is designed for. One of the principles of that is that if somebody refuses treatment, you can't treat them. That's fine. But to then say you're going to kill somebody, because let's be honest, euthanasia, it's just a nicer sounding word, but that's what you're asking the doctor to do. The doctor is somebody who has dedicated his life to save lives, and this is what you're asking. And from purely a non-religious point of view, that's my argument.
Yeah, no, I agree as well. Like, I'm just saying the reason behind why, like, religion or not, like, I think euthanasia is like wrong. It's basically you're taking someone's life. I don't think anyone should have that ability. Like, I could give an example out. I had a family member who was told they were going to have, I think, 2 weeks to live. That person went on to live for 4 years. And if she had that in her mindset that, oh, I'm going to be dying and stuff, of course you're going to die quickly. But of course she was of an Islamic faith. She prayed every day and God gave her another 4 years and that was written for her. If she said, oh, son, because she went into a coma stage, she couldn't talk. She didn't say once that, oh, um, you know, uh, stop with the treatment and, that's completely wrong. Like, there's a reason why people can withstand these hardships and people, that's why suicides happen. There's a reason why suicide happens. It's not one of them things that it don't happen. Like, say for instance, some person, what's the difference from someone hanging themselves and then stopping, helping kill someone? Basically, what's the difference?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you, but personally, I don't agree with euthanasia, but I can completely understand the people that are going through this and why they ask for this, if you want to call it treatment. I can understand why they say they want to be euthanized, but I don't agree with it.
Yeah, exactly. That's
Yeah,
what I'm
I
trying
don't
to
agree
say.
with it.
Like, personally, I disagree as well, but I understand why they want to go through that process and things like through all the pain and torture.
Well, say that again, please. There's a lot of
Oh yeah, I was saying, no, I totally agree. My personal opinion is that, uh, I disagree with euthanasia as well, but I'd understand why someone would go through that situation.
All right, guys. I think our time is approaching to end the lecture, but before we stop, um, wonderful thoughts, wonderful ideas, definitely really, really good analysis of the situation. So you've managed to talk about both sides because there are a lot of parties involved in this. There's government, there's health sector, there's family, definitely. There's personal values and beliefs. And yeah, and yes, I am so happy that you were able to, look at it from many different perspectives. We talked about torture. People agreed and disagreed. So I'm really happy with today's lecture. Okay, so just to plan a little bit ahead, okay? During the course of this week, I will be sending out the list of topics, okay, for final exam. And I will also send you a homework, okay? No, don't worry, it is not going to be for next week. The deadline is going to be in the body of the email. So, yeah, expect those 2 emails from me this week, okay?
Professor,
Uh,
can we
yes.
suggest topics for the final essay, or where
Uh-huh.
should we send them?
Yes, please. Yes, Abdal, continue.
Yeah, so I was asking about where should we send the topics for you for the final essay.
To my email.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Okay.
But you don't have to anymore because I'm going to compile the list. Don't send me any more topics. Unless you're going to do it now, then do it now. But don't send me like tomorrow or the day before, the day after tomorrow, because I'm going to make up a list and I'm going to send you to choose from. Okay. It's going to be about 10 topics. Okay. I'm going to give you like 10 topics to choose from. Interesting ones, I'm sure. Yes, please, Adam, tell me.
About the topics, can I
Yes.
like send you one of the topics now, or can I
Yes,
tell you?
yes. No, please send me, because if you tell me, just send it to me, okay? Please send it to me. It's easier for me to, filter through, okay? Like
Yep.
that. Okay. All right, guys. Thank you very much for today's interesting conversation. We will